Today, I'm going to go over the Gambit roadmap and timeline, answering questions like what should I build? Should I build 4 ships or 5 ships? And when will the upgrades come out? And how long will this whole even last for? Hey everyone, Derpy here. Welcome back to another Battle Parts video. As I get started, this is the 5th video in my Ultimate Gambit Guide series. I would definitely recommend watching the target recon and the build videos if you have not already. Those do an excellent job of going into detail and a lot of the stuff which will be important for this video. And as always, I'm not Kixeye. They could end up changing everything here and these could be wrong, although I'm giving myself a 95% chance of being right, at least on the major issues I talk about here. Now, the first thing you should know is that on release, this is what we got here. No upgrades, we're still using the old brute armor, we have the regular weapons, and we don't have any sort of extra special here. We only got one dedicated special for the ship, which was unlimited. There are a number of things that we're expecting to come out over the next few months, and the whole will be good until January. You should expect a new tier 12, or maybe it's 11.5, I can't remember, should be 11.5 whole out in January, in the January raid. Now, the targets that we're currently hitting, which does dictate when you should build things, is as follows. Currently, in July, we have a Gambit in the entry-level spot in the Forsaken mission. In August, we're going to get a second one added. That might be the 326, and in September, we'll get the 336, or the third level added there. From there, the current 316 will cycle out to be a new one like the 317, or again, whatever you want to call it, in October, and the Brute will drop down in September again to be the regular entry level, and we all should get a free fleet of Brutes at that point. Just keep that in mind. Now, Pillage is going to be the thing that's really important here, because the top garrison target is going to be the Gambit in the August Pillage, which is next week. You're going to have a pretty tough time without that, depending on how easy that other non-garrison target is, but you'll get way fewer points in any case. With the TLCs and other stuff, who really knows when that's going to happen, but Pillage is going to happen literally next week. In terms of the armors, my guess here is that we're getting new limited armors, and will be Trickle released in sets of 5 or 6. This should be in Pillage, the Raid, TLCs, and possibly the Forsaken mission a little bit later, and will have some potential stats. I'm just guessing they have exactly twice the survival as the current brute armor, so you go to 60k instead of 30k. They may also have things like splash damage reduction, a lower build time than normal siege skirmish assault armors, may have double the weight as the brute ones, and also should give you an explosive damage buff, probably plus 3%, maybe plus 2, maybe plus 4. Now, the pictures on the screen here, the tables, show you the survival one, and this is built into my survival calculator, is the brute with no armors. Its survival will be 17,000, which is a very low number. This can be improved a ton by putting on 3 missile, 3 explosive of the brute armors. That's survival 2. You go up to 109 of each survival, which is a 71% improvement from previously. So putting armors on your brutes drops your damage by 70%. If you were taking 3 hours damage before, you'll take less than 1 hour now. I would definitely recommend putting armors on all your ships as soon as you have the ability to do so. Now, if the Gambit armors come out at exactly twice the survival as the brutes, having an entire fleet would only be 40% better than having a fully armored fleet of Gambits with the brute armor. So fully armoring your fleet is not going to be needed initially here, although of course it is going to help, and you should get 5 every raid and every pillage from the release, which starts in August, which is again next week. Now, if the survival numbers are different, I'll run the numbers again here and show you an update on this one, but it shouldn't be that huge of a difference, especially if you can only do 1 ship at a time, which is pretty likely. The armors may also come out with a low enough build time. You can use tokens, then get 5 done at once or 6 done at once here, which would be pretty nice to have, and it would be nice if it was a number like 1 day and 23 hours and 50 minutes, so you didn't have to worry about wasting too much time. We also are expecting a flagship, and the really important thing is the name. My top 3 so far are the Queen's Gambit, Greta's Gambit, and Derpy's Gambit. Let me know which one you like the most, and maybe more importantly, let Kixeye know, but I digress. This is coming in the September raid, which is essentially a month and a week away, a month and 2 weeks away. It's going to have some sort of aura at maybe U0, maybe X1, and some other special ability that does help all gambits in the fleet is my guess. It may have a boost to countermeasures, it may not. I'm guessing it will be pretty regular with a generic boost that gives all gambits 20,000 survival or 5% speed or something like that there. Nothing too crazy that we know of at this point. But it will come out in September. You should probably build it when it does come out there, especially if you have any sort of tokens that you're able to save and or have whatever fleet finished. If you have your flashbangs finished, the fleet after the flashbangs finished in the September raid, this is going to be pretty important to build. Now, we also will get limited special and weapons, maybe an unlimited special even. The weapons will probably be the regular ones with exactly 20% or 25% more damage, maybe 1% more anti-mortar evade, but don't really count on that. They're not going to be too exciting. They'll be very expensive. They'll come out in Pillage in the raid, likely set to 5 out there. And it's the Rook Mortar. This may be named the Bishop Mortar, the Knight Mortar, although those are worth less points from a Rook. That doesn't make sense. But it will be nothing too exciting and will be a mortar, not a morar, despite what it says on the screen. We will also get a new special, which we have no details on at this point. I personally am guessing an engine with some sort of projectile speed, which I hope doesn't run into stacking issues or explosive damage, something like that. Other people are thinking it could be a dedicated mortar special, although I'm really not quite sure on that. It could be an escalation to the Ascension mortar system that came out with the Everests. This will come out in August and will be in Pillage or the Raid. I'm not quite sure which one it could be in terms of the limited mortar. I should expect that in, well, really not sure, likely the raid for both of these. So these are coming up pretty soon and will be Trickle released. You won't need to do it all at the same time here, with the exception of the special if it does have a speed change or something else like that. But those should be coming out fairly soon actually, I'm guessing August raid. Now, the one really big question people has is if you should build 4 or 5 normal ships. I think that you should build 5 normal ships, and this is probably a decision you already made here. If you don't want to wait until the flagship comes out so you can have a full fleet, if you want to use a 5-ship fleet even when one is upgrading, if you have a Gambit upgrading for one day, you want to maybe still do the FM like that, or you have extra tokens that you can spend on the Gambit here, and you don't want to save them. Now, I'm sticking with 4 normal ships, and I think you should too. If you hate wasting shipyard time once the flagship comes out, you're probably not using that 5th ship very often, if at all, or if you're short on points, tokens, time, etc., or you started your Gambit builds later than normal, just build 4 regular ones and 1 flagship. And that's the route that makes the most sense to me, although if you have your own reasons for building 5 normal and 1 flagship, 6 in total, go for it, totally up to you. Now, the upgrades are going to come out. U1 through U3 will come out the same time as the flagship in September raid, and November raid should see X1 if Kixeye sticks to their plans here, so those two are actually very close together. Upgrade times are shown on screen here with a note that the Gambit upgrades being garrison. Look at the right-hand column and take half of that value. So you're going to have half the time of the corresponding ships and tiers. So the normal tier 11 Gambit hull will upgrade from U0 to U1 in 8 hours, U1 through U2 in 1 day and 30 minutes, U3 or U2 U3, etc. 2 days. Just cut those numbers in half. This is my chart. It's available in the description of this YouTube video and a bunch of other places as well. This does also list the kits 10, 30, 60, 60, and 10, 40, 80, 80 needed for the regular and the flagship respectively. Now, my number one advice to you watching this video is that you should build your gambits first. In other words, build gambits over upgrading your flashbangs. We are getting a new hull in the August raid. It's going to be a siege skirmish assault. I haven't figured out which one yet. So if you don't build gambits this month in July right now, you're going to have a bigger issue where you have to choose between building gambits or building that new ship in the August raid. So I would much rather deprioritize flashbangs and have like a U3 flashbang fleet and a gambit fleet built than having to wait with X1 flashbangs, have those be old and useless, and now have to decide between building 2 current fleets. You really just want to make sure you build gambits as soon as possible. I'm guessing we get a free fleet in September. It doesn't make a lot of sense because the Forsaken mission will still have brute target available to complete them. So maybe you could cross out September here, right, December or something. But we're going to get a free fleet at some point here. Don't stress about it too much. It's probably not September, even though that's what it says on the screen here. That's the 5% chance I'm wrong. Now, we also are expecting again that tier 11.5, not 12. Hull should come out in January. Tier 11.5 will allow us to use our same lab, upgrade buffs, etc. So expect that to come out in January for the start of Tier 12. It doesn't make sense because those numbers are confusing, but I digress. And that's really all I've got for you. If you've got questions on some of this stuff, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I'll make sure to get back to you and answer that. Well, with that said, and until next time, this is going to be Derpy signing out, helping you be a better pirate.